Hello everyone, welcome to Room for Conversation. My name is Neicey and I'm speaking with you all today about a topic called foster care. So grab some snacks, grab a drink, whatever, come sit down and chat with me really quickly. And let's just get the blood, pumping about this. I want people to be excited because I have some news that I want to talk about and I want you guys to get involved. So, if you know me, you know that I grew up in foster care from the age of 10 to 21. You also know that I also work at a foster care agency, specifically the one that I grew up in. I work for them now, and I'm also an advocate for youth in foster care, and I have a lot of experience with the system. 11 years is a very long time. And through those 11 years, I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot. I've experienced a lot. I've had friends in the system who went through a lot. And I feel like this is a topic that we need to talk about. So I just want to start off by saying that, a lot of times we joke about ACS and foster care, but it's really not funny. It's not funny at all. I'm pretty sure you guys seen like the horror stories and the news and stuff about what happened to children and stuff like that. But we don't really talk about teenagers in foster care. And that's what I want to focus on because they're the ones who really need our help. Not saying that younger children don't need help, but trust me when I say that the younger children that are in foster care, they get paid the most attention to and they're looked after and there's enough help for them. I know that sounds really weird, but what I'm saying is that when it comes to being a teenager in foster care, it's very hard to get them into foster homes. If you're aware, New York City, we shut down group homes, or New York State actually. Group homes are no longer in play, and group homes are not really somewhere that you want a teenager to be. The goal is for children in foster care, teenagers in foster care, to end up either adopted or in a loving foster home until they come of age of independence. And that doesn't happen. That didn't happen a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we see a little bit of a turnaround where teenagers are being placed with families who really do care about them. But it's sad that, so much trauma had to happen to kind of get the wheels turning on this. And I just want to bring a little bit more attention to it. So let me first start by saying a little bit about my story. When I was 10 years old, my grandmother passed away, and my two siblings were already in foster care at that point. I was the only one who was still living with my grandmother at that point, and she was sick. She passed away, and I was supposed to be adopted by one of my godmothers. That did not work out, and I was placed into foster care. Now, being in foster care at 10 years old, I was dealing with a lot. I was dealing with trauma. I watched my grandmother pass away. I was very depressed, and I missed my sister and my brother. At that point, I don't think I didn't see them for a very long time after my grandmother died. And I jumped around into foster homes a lot. Okay, a lot. The longest I've probably ever been in a foster home was maybe like 3 years. Or the last foster home I was in before I aged out. So yeah, it's been a journey, and I've learned a lot on the way. I've learned a lot through it, and we need to be proactive about our kids in foster care, because guess what? Yes, there's white kids in foster care, but there's a lot of Black and brown children in foster care who grow up to be teenagers, and they have to find their way on their own, and it's not fair. We need to take care of our kids. Okay, because I was one of them. My foster sister was one of them. My friends were them. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody ages out of foster care with a picture perfect story. That does not happen. But now we're doing the work so that every child has that chance. And it's a uphill battle. Okay, it's not easy. It's not just saying let's do this and then the work is done and it's going to happen. No, because we have to deal with policies, and these policies have been in place for decades, centuries. We've had decades of the system failing children left and right, and children don't ask to be in foster care. I don't know no kid who wakes up and say I want to be in foster care. I want you to move me out of my home. And if you're removing children out of their homes into what's supposed to be a safe space for them, and you're responsible for this child and the well-being of this child, and you have to oversee that this child grows up into a productive citizen who pays taxes, we need to absolutely do better. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, that's a different story. I'm getting off track. So what I want to talk about is, when you grow up in foster care, there's a lot that you have to learn very quickly. And you have your childhood, your innocence is almost immediately taken away. You're not really allowed to be a kid because now you have so many people bombarding your life. And, speaking for myself, when I was a teenager, I was very difficult because I was just like, this is chaotic. Like, you're not going to tell me what to do or when to do it. I wasn't having it. And I was not always placed in the best foster homes, It got better towards me aging out. But I always say that the best foster home I've ever been in was when I lived in Canarsie. And it's sad because the foster home I was in Canarsie, I didn't get into that foster home until I was like 17 years old. And what made me stick with that lady was that the first day I got to her home, she was a very, very good... Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick, okay? And then we're going to get back to the topic. So, her name is Yo-Yo. And the first day I was placed in her home, she wasn't there. She was actually at work. But her daughter and her son was there. And I remember I knocked on the door. And she answered the phone. She answered the door. And she was like, hey, like, just very inviting. She was smiling. She was very sweet. And she welcomed me in. And then, that same day, she took me to get my hair done with her. We was in a hair salon. And she got the call from her mother that she was, I guess, meeting us at the hair salon or something like that. And I know that don't seem like a big deal, but being in foster care, nobody took care of my hair. My hair fell out. I was body shamed all the time. Like, it was abuse from every way you turn around. You know what I'm saying? So when I got to this foster home, it was very calm. It was a calm environment and stuff like that. It was very opening, very welcomed. And the first day I got there, they wanted to take me out of her home. And she was like, I will adopt her right now before I let y'all take her out of my home. She fought for me. And, I was 17 years old. I never seen anybody fight for me ever. But this lady fought for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, she wanted me. And that did something to me. Like, and I stayed there. It didn't work out in the end, but that bond never broke. And even though I don't speak to Yo-Yo as much as I should, but I absolutely see her as one of my mother figures. Like, if you know me, I have like 3 mother figures who mean the world to me, and she's one of them. And I always, mention her when I talk about what a good foster home looks like, because this was someone who was not about the benefits. Like, she genuinely cared. She wanted me to do better. Like, she took care of me. I had no worries. All she wanted was for me to go to school, but I was already too far gone with the behavior and stuff like that. I was already gone. But she tried, and she stuck by me, and she fought for me, and she defended me, and she wanted me, But things happen. And but that was the first time I ever felt like somebody other than my grandmother, loved me. Because I never seen that before in foster care. So if I'm telling you guys about that story, just imagine how many times that happens to a child in foster care. It happens more often than not, okay? And this is why, you got to teach kids to be kind, because you never know what somebody's going through. As some of y'all know, like, I found out that I have a cousin that I went to high school with. Love her. And she was just telling me, like, how in high school I seemed like I was very mean and stuff like that. And I said to her, like, yo, I don't even remember how I was in high school, because I was just, like, out of my mind. Like, probably really just batshit crazy. I was just out of my mind. I was not aware of everything that I should have been aware of, because I had so many other things going on for me. So anyway, moving forward, I have other friends who grew up in foster care who did not get a good deal. And when you're in foster care, they constantly shove college down your throat. Do good in school so you could get a college. So you go to college, they'll pay for your college. They'll pay for this. They'll do that. They want you to apply to NYCHA by the time you're 19. They want to have you working, making a livable wage. But one thing I've learned, I'm not saying that that's bad. It's not bad. It is what it is. It's not bad. But why is that all that there is for these kids at the end of the road? Especially when we know that that's not guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed for me. By the time I was 21, I had got my GED. I was working. And I did not get my apartment. I ended up homeless. And it wasn't my fault. And my foster mother at that time, Felicia, she went to go fight for me. And she tried. But there was nothing that could be done. And even after that, she gave me 2 weeks and I had to be at her house. So I didn't have anybody. There was nobody for me to turn to. So again, I say, how many times do y'all think that happens to a young person in the system? People don't pay attention to teenagers. They don't care. They don't see teenagers as children. They see them as adults. And it's just funny to me because, in reality, we know that that's not really how it is. You have parents who don't even let their children move out of their houses until they have a job and they're able to pay their rent and live comfortably. Or they have them living in their houses, saving up their money to get a house. That's never going to happen with a foster child. And you lucky if you get adopted, if you get some parents who think like that. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. But we're trying to change the trajectory of these kids' lives now. And while it didn't happen for me, it didn't happen for my friends, it happens for these kids who are teenagers now, who were babies when we were in care. And we have a fundraiser called Fair Futures. The education part of the system has gotten much better. I'm a board member of a company a nonprofit organization called At the Table, where we help tutor children in college and in high school. We prepare them for college and stuff, and it's very progressive, and it's a good thing. But this video is just to start the conversation on what can you do better as a person when it comes to the attention that you pay to teenagers in foster care. Because these are the people who are going to turn around and they have to be tax-paying citizens. But the state fails them every single time. I have friends in college right now who grew up in foster care, and they're in this college program with me. They should have had housing. They don't have housing. We have to advocate for these things. And it gets me upset because it's just why do I have to advocate for something like living? You have to advocate to live. Why is that fair? But you want me to turn around and be a productive citizen? And I'm sorry that I'm putting it that way, but that's just the threshold of things. That's how it is. There's no sympathy for, young adults in foster care. And I feel like that's not fair because they didn't ask to be put in foster care. And you should not expect a young person to have their life figured out at the age of 21 or 18 or 19. Because, and I always say this when I have this discussion, I say, how is it that we can sit down and have a conversation and say that, by the age of 25, that's when your brain is fully developed. But y'all expect foster kids to be fully developed, mentally stable, tax-paying citizens at the age of 21. And their brain isn't even done developing. But it don't count. It don't count, right? That don't count? Okay. So if you're in foster care and you're watching this, I'm going to give you guys some tips on what you should be doing if you're in foster care. 1, know your rights. It's never too early to start. And the reality is that you're not going to be a kid forever. And there's going to come a point in time where people are not going to do their jobs the way they should be doing it because it's not them, and it sucks, but that's the reality of it. I'm gonna just be honest. That's really what it is. So know your rights. If you know someone who's in foster care, ask them if they have a lawyer. every child, every teenager should have a lawyer. You are allowed to have your case go to court every 6 months. Okay? Social workers, caseworkers, they go to court for your case. You should be present when they go to court because you need to be involved. There should never be a moment of time where people are planning out your life and you're not in the room. If you are mentally stable and you are aware and you are alert and you are sane, you should be going to court. And you should start learning how to advocate for yourself because the strongest voice that you have is your own voice. So don't be scared to speak up. Say what you want. Say what you feel. You know, your voice matters. And what I used to do when I was in foster care and they would try to play me or take me to like the crazy hospital, I would write a letter. I would sign the letter. I would mail it back to myself. Okay? I would go print that letter also out at the agency. I would stand there and have my supervisor, my social worker, I would have all of them read it. And then I would have my social worker and her supervisor sign that they read that letter. Let them keep the copy and I would keep the original. Because you're not going to play me and you're not going to do what you want to do to me. You can't just put me anywhere. Because I'm a person, I have a voice, I have feelings. What I say matters. And this is my life. And I'm going to run my life the way I want to run my life. And I've always been headstrong in that sense where I learned, because when I was younger, they would move me around a lot and I didn't realize that I had rights. I had never been to court. I didn't have a lawyer. And if my case was going to court, which it was not going to court, when your case don't go to court, these agencies have the power to do whatever they want to do with you. Okay? And unless you know your rights, because this is the thing, and this is like real life in general, nobody is going to feel bad enough or feel obligated to explain to you how things work. That's like if you get pulled over by a cop and you don't know your rights, or you get arrested, they read you your Miranda rights, you have the right to a lawyer. You have a right to a lawyer. I'm sorry I'm comparing it to that. I'm just trying to give you an example, and that's the first thing that popped in my head. But always ask for a lawyer. Taking care of your documents, everything, medical and everything. Everything that they pass, they have you sign something, ask for a copy. Keep every single paper that they have you sign. Keep every single paper that crosses you, that has to do with your case or whatever the situation is. Keep it. Because you never know when you're gonna need that. And I wish that these were things that I knew when I was in foster care, because it would have saved me a lot of trouble. It would have helped me out a lot. And I just didn't know. I learned these things when it was too late. Making allies. You have to learn who people are in your agency, in ACS, wherever it is that holds agency. You need to make allies because you need people that can also advocate for you in dire situations. Or you need to make sure that, you know, you're known. Because the worst type of position to be in when you're in foster care is people who don't know your name and they don't know you. And I'm not saying make a bad reputation for yourself. Because I did that. But I didn't care. But don't be like me. Because a lot of people in the agency and ACS, they know my name, and I did have a negative reputation until I started to change the narrative, because people thought that I was a bad kid. I wasn't a bad kid. It's just you wasn't going to play with me. And people don't like when you speak up for yourself. I'm always going to speak up, but I'm always going to step behind me. Because if nobody cares about me, I care about me. And nobody's going to do for me what I can do for myself. So make allies, you know. Don't be that kid or that teenager that falls into the background. Don't be that person. Make sure that you're known, because when people know you, they can't say that they forget you. They can't say that, you know, they passed you over because it was just like no contact. Be in contact. You know what I'm saying? Pop up at the agency. Ask to speak to people. Learn who people are. Learn what their jobs are. It's important because this is your life. And like I said, when it comes to people planning out your life, you want to be in the room. and you want to have a say-so on what's going on. You don't want to be that person where people are planning out your life and you don't even know what's going on. And it may not be the best decisions that they make for you. And you know, that's part of knowing who's who. Also learn how to advocate for yourself. I'm not saying go up to the agency or ACS and start cursing them out, yelling at people. That's not going to get you nowhere. Advocating for yourself is talking how I'm talking to you right now. You know, I've always advocated for myself. There was never a room I was in where my voice wasn't heard, because I need people to hear me. If you don't speak up for yourself, nobody would know, you know. And being an advocate is the strongest thing to be in foster care. Using your voice, that's the most powerful weapon that you have. Use it. You never know what can happen. Now, I'm gonna save other things for another video, but this is just part 1 to a series that I just wanted to introduce and let you guys know a little bit about myself. This conversation is gonna go on, and I'm gonna have guests on who were in foster care. I'm gonna have some people who work in the system now or who did work in the system come on a platform and do a video with me in an interview and have, you know, a conversation about this. But these are just some things that I just wanted to run across you guys and just introduce you to the foster care series that I'm going to be doing. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if it was like very aggressive, but this is something that I care about. Before I sign off, I want you guys to do some homework. So the homework I'm giving you guys to do is look up Fair Futures. Fair Futures is very important. Fair Futures is an organization that was formed after Grant Windham SLAM program. So I work with SLAM at Grant Windham, and SLAM, we have coaches who stay with young adults until the age of 26. You know, we help them with their vocational, educational goals, housing, anything you can think of. They have a coach to help them, and it kind of gives them a safety net. SLAM is a very, very good program. I'll get more into SLAM later, but basically, Fair Futures took that model. They did their own versions of it and presented that platform to, I think, about 17 or 18 agencies across New York City to get them set up with coaches, because we want to ensure that young adults get a fair shot, that they have a fair future. Look up Fair Futures. Right now, we are rallying and we're tweeting and we're trying to get Mayor de Blasio to allocate funds to Fair Futures so that we can be sustainable. We did get $17 million last year or the year before, I believe, to help get it launched, and now we're trying to be part of the budget in New York City. Mayor de Blasio cut funding for Fair Futures, and that affects children, teenagers in foster care. So if you guys can look up Fair Futures and do your research and send some tweets, write some letters, I don't know, or just, contact me if you're interested in learning more about Fair Futures. Definitely reach out to me and let me know about that. I'm happy to talk to you guys about Fair Futures a little bit more. The next thing I want to mention is At the Table. So At the Table is a nonprofit organization. You can also look that up too at thetable.org. I will put that in the link, description, whatever. I'll put that in there so you guys can also look that up too. At the Table is a nonprofit organization that offers tutoring to young adults in high school and in college who are in foster care or previously were in foster care. And we do an amazing job. We just started. At the Table was created by Mike Zink, who used to work at New York Foundling, which is another big foster care agency in New York City. Mike is amazing. He helped establish the education part of New York Foundling. But donate to At the Table. We're a brand new company. We're starting up. We're trying to get more kids tutored, so to speak. But I'll put that website also in the link, and I just want you guys to do your research, come chat with me, tell me how you feel about it. Let's have a conversation. I hope I saved enough room for everyone to get in. If I didn't, I'm sorry. And I hope that you guys just come on this journey with me. It's very important. It's about saving lives, and it's about caring about our youth. And if we don't care about our kids, who will? You know, part of why I work in the foster care system and why I'm an advocate is because I want to be the person that I needed when I was in this position. I want to be that person, you know, for someone else. And it's very important to me. Like, it's part of what I'm meant to do. I don't want to be a social worker. I don't want to be the head of anything. I just want to be that person who left a mark on a system that affected me. It still affects me to this day. But that's the story for another day. But thank you guys for coming into the room. I really appreciate it. I'm kind of nervous because I don't really do the video thing and stuff like that. You know, usually I get in, I get out. But I just want to thank you guys, and I hope to see you guys next time. Deuces.